Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us this Monday. We are with you in 1 Samuel again. We're talking about Saul. We're talking about David. We're going to have some clarity a little bit. We're kind of up and down and all over. So we're glad to be with you today and talk about what stuck out from the word to us.
Yeah, definitely. And so this is really a hinge point in Samuel because up to this point, David has been a growing hero. Things have gone okay for Saul, even though he just had a mess up, and Samuel basically told him there's going to be a new king replacing you.
Yeah.
And this is that hinge point right there where Saul is going to realize David's a threat to me.
So hinge point for Samuel?
For Saul.
Or for Samson?
Saul. Yeah, all the S's. Samuel, Slippy, Slappy, Slammy, Swammy, Swamp, Samsonite.
Saul.
Knew it started with an S. Name that movie. It's a hinge point for Saul because he really turns and realizes David's a threat. I'm going to do everything I can to take him out because he's a threat to my kingdom.
Yeah,
and that's the problem with this whole thing for Saul is that he's thinking about himself.
Right, because as David's fame continue and his renown and just kind of people figuring out who he is, as that grows, it's met with Saul's jealousy and contempt, and that grows. And so now it's starting to, we're going to read and see how actually like his own, within Saul's own family too, how there's, choices that people are kind of sides that people are making. But really, so we say that he's Saul's threatened, but really David's a gift to the people. So it's interesting. Yeah. He has been. That's Saul's response to that is like, oh, I'm threatened. I'm, what am I going to do? How do I self-protect or that kind of thing? Yeah. And so.
And that song was being sung where Saul has slain his thousands, David his tens of thousands. And that was just salt in the wound for him. And so you literally can watch Saul, his character, go from envy and jealousy to malice to murder. And going, I need to eliminate, I hate this guy, and I'm going to do whatever I can to get him out of the way so I can have what I want. And it goes downhill real quick. So if we're going to sum up, chapter 19, 18 is Saul becomes really afraid of David. 19 is where Saul tries to kill David. And what's interesting about this and embarrassing for Saul is he's thwarted by people that he loves and probably respects the most. His own daughter saves David. His own son saves David. And then his own judge, Samuel, saves David. And so he's a wreck. Kind of an odd thing happens at the end of chapter 19.
Yeah, what's that?
Well, David's on the run. He goes to Ramah, which is actually, there's a play on words here if you're looking at this. And when Saul became a king earlier, he was looking for his donkeys. He had to go to Ramah. He had to find Samuel. He found him.
Right, that's the series of events.
Series of events. And now here you have the same chain reaction happening. He's looking for something, David. He goes to Ramah. He's trying to find Samuel. And then whatever. But the prophesying. They start prophesying.
What verses is that?
If you look at 18 through 24, you see this word prophesying throw often. Now prophesy, it's important to note, when it's used for the good, which is what it is in the scripture 99% of the time, it's like a word from God. It's a spoken word from God, from a word from the Lord. It's a truth-telling and a foretelling, all rooted in scripture saying, hey, this is who God is. And if you continue to follow him, you'll be blessed. If you continue to not follow him, it's going to be a train wreck. The other time it can be used is when it's translated frenzy.
And almost that's what the root word here is? Is that what you mean?
Almost like it's hectic. And so you see these guys prophesying and it's honoring God. Saul sends his men to go get David, and the Spirit of the Lord falls on them and they start prophesying.
By go get, you mean to kill him? Yes.
To end him. He definitely sends another group of guys prophesying. So Saul goes himself, and if you look at the end there, it says, read that. Verse 23 and 24. You want to read that?
Sure. So Saul went to Naioth at Ramah, but the Spirit of God came upon him, and he walked along prophesying until he came to, is it Naioth? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, let's go with it.
Okay. He stripped off his robes and also prophesied in Samuel's presence. He lay that way all day and night. This is why people say, is Saul among the prophets?
So if you think about it, Saul's a train wreck. Yeah. His desire is to kill somebody, and God has him prophesying without his clothes on, just laying there knocked out, defeated, thwarted, failure. Like, you're not going to establish your plans and they're not going to succeed.
And that's where I think I just want to pause and just like, we do, like, I know we're kind of laughing, like Saul's naked, you know, like what? Like that's, you guys, I know it says like he stripped off his robes, but like, that's what it means. Yeah. Because we, you know, we plan and we've got our planner, we've got our Google Calendar and we've got things lined up. And, you know, we come and present these things to the Lord. Like Saul's saying like, no, I'm going to end David. It's going to be my line that continues. And then we get to this spot where it's actually when Saul actually encounters Yahweh, like whatever that was looking like right now, one thing is for sure clear. It's not going to be your way.
For sure.
So for sure. That's just an encouragement for me. Like, let's step into our day and let's wake up and say, okay, Lord, what's happening today? And please invite me into what you're doing instead of the other way around.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to work out better.
Definitely. But what happens now is that the stakes rise.
Right.
Because you get to chapter 20 and you see this relationship with David and Jonathan, and they are best of friends. It talks about how they're like a one of heart. And that love there is hesed, which is a steadfast love. The same word is used other times in scripture, but it's often talking about like familial relationships where you're like bone of my bone, blood of my blood, flesh of my flesh. Jacob to Benjamin, his favorite son, hesed. And so here it's not a romantic love. It's a familial, you and my brother, I will do whatever I have to do to protect you kind of love. And they make a covenant together. And Jonathan now, stark contrast to Saul, his dad. He realizes that David is the Lord's anointed. And so he's got this space where he has to make a decision where he's like, am I going to protect my blood, my father who raised me, who I've got a close relationship with? They go to war together. They live together. They've eaten together. Or this other guy, my friend. And I guess so what happens is when you go to chapter 20 and you look at verses 30 through 34, you get a picture of a conversation that's had. They're throwing a feast. Saul's plan to kill David. He's trying to set traps for him. And Jonathan's trying to get a feel for where he's at. And I don't think Saul quite yet fully realizes where Jonathan's at. So do you want to read verses 30 through 34? And this is after Jonathan says, I gave David permission to go to Bethlehem because Saul's got his gang ready to kill him, basically. Right. And David's not there.
Right.
And it was to protect David. They had made a plan. So look at what happens in verse 30.
I'll try my best.
You can do it, I believe.
Saul's anger flared up at Jonathan, and he said to him, you son of a perverse and rebellious woman. Go figure, blame it on the mom. Don't I know that you have sided with the son of Jesse to your own shame, so that's David, and to the shame of the mother who bore you? As long as the son of Jesse lives on this earth, neither you nor your kingdom will be established. Now send and bring him to me, for he must die. Why should he be put to death? So this is Jonathan. What has he done? Jonathan asked his father. But Saul hurled his spear at him to kill him. Then Jonathan knew that his father intended to kill David. Jonathan got up from the table in fierce anger. On the second day of the month, he did not eat because he grieved at his father's shameful treatment of David.
Dang.
Pretty messy dinner party.
Reality TV show right here. Drama.
But though this is Jonathan essentially saying like, okay, like,
chosen.
I have seen how this is playing out and I didn't want to believe it. Yeah. I didn't, like, I want to, you're my dad, but now I literally see it right before my eyes, how you're treating David and it's not okay.
Yeah. I think of, Jesus talks about this really when it comes to deciding if we're going to follow Jesus or whatever. Matthew 10, he uses really extreme language. He's like, you can't love your mother and your father and follow me. You must hate your mother and your father, your brothers and sisters, and you have to follow me. That's extreme language, basically saying Jesus is saying, I require all of you if you're going to follow me. And I want to be number one in your heart. The chosen. Jesus had a line in episode 1 of season 2 just last week. And there's a father whose daughter was going to come follow Jesus and join the gang, basically.
Right.
And Jesus had...
Coffney,
the winemaker from the wedding at Cana in Galilee. And Jesus basically has this line to him. He says, I ask a lot of people who follow me. If you don't want to follow me, I ask very little. And, you saw in that moment, you have to watch for yourself how it goes down. But it's a real heart-wrencher. You're just like, man... Jesus is making it really clear. I want everything. So when it comes back to Jonathan, Jonathan is realizing, I'm going to choose the Lord's anointed.
Yep.
I'm going with the way of the Lord. Mm-hmm. So I guess as we unpack this today, just you and me talking about it and you listening, David is like Christ in this story. And we have to decide, are we going to be more like Saul or are we going to be more like Jonathan?
Right.
Are we going to pursue our kingdom and live in fear and try to protect everything that we think is important?
Yeah.
Or are we willing to submit our desires, our dreams, our plans, our convenience to the Lord and say, God, I'll have whatever you have. And it comes with great risk because, especially you listening, maybe it is your parents, your siblings, your roommate, the people you love the most aren't down with Jesus Christ. They're not in with Christianity. They don't even like that you go to church, that you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
Or you have friends, or there's an area of your life that you just still haven't quite relinquished yet. You're like, I want to hold on to this area of my life because it brings me pleasure. I enjoy it. And Jesus is saying, I want you to let go of everything and follow me. So I'm going to sit with that today. Am I like Saul? Am I like Jonathan?
Yeah.
And what do I do with Jesus' words in Matthew 10?
Yeah, I'm going to sit with you.
Let's just let's have a coffee.
Thanks so much for listening, you guys, today. We are going to be jumping back in on Wednesday in 1 Samuel with you. God bless you today.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his countenance toward you and give you his peace. Have a great day.